Hi folks, my perspective here. In this clip I'm going to be looking at a few things, and one of the main things I'm going to be looking at is a 90-degree tangent to a circle. Right? And this issue of a 90-degree tangent to a circle is always used to mislead people, and I'm going to show you exactly how they con people and how they trick people. And one of them is this person who calls himself Bill K. Right? So I'm going to show you how to answer them. So the issue is that they'll say a man on a ball, his tangent, his angle is always 90 degrees. So let's look at this. This is Pythagoras' theorem, right? That means the observer is 90 degrees to the tangent, right? And the horizon is also 90 degrees. So the principle in Pythagoras' theorem is the same. But now as we apply this in 3D space, right, there's a problem. The problem is that the observer, so let's look at the observer on the top. He sees the horizon in front of him. If he turns 90 degrees to his left, he cannot see the horizon in front of him. But a person on earth turns 360 degrees around him and always sees the horizon in front of him. The tangent in this case is also 90 degrees, and it's a con. It's a trick. So let's apply this to two helicopters, right? These two helicopters are 90 degrees to the tangent, yet their angles to each other are different. Right? These two helicopters cannot see each other at the same angle, and they're both 90 degrees to the surface of the ground. They both look at the horizon, right? The man on the ground looks up and he sees the helicopter at an angle. Do you understand where the con comes in? If that helicopter turns 180 degrees, right, he's flying into the clouds, and the person on the other side flies into the ground. Whereas in reality, a person is 90 degrees to the tangent because a person is 90 degrees to the earth because the earth's flat. The helicopter sees the other person level with the ground and flies in a straight line to the helicopter. If you're in an aeroplane, right, and you say, well, I can see the curve of the earth out my window, apply the same principle. You're mistaken. Because that would mean then, right, that the pilot can't see the horizon in front of him. Your aeroplane's flying at an angle. The person on the ground will see an aeroplane flying 90 degrees to the tangent, right, at an angle, because he has to see the horizon. So do you understand? We're applying the principle of a tangent, 90-degree tangent to a circle, and we're seeing how it doesn't work. It's a con. It's a cheap trick. The pilot then, if he flies in a straight line, well, he has to fly over the earth and fly away from the earth, so the earth will drop up and drop down. So at the starting position, the aeroplane has to see a bulge in front of him. And there's the point. Right. So if we look into the shadows of the world we're living in, those people who hide in the shadows, they reveal who they are and who their master is and who they're serving. Don't look at the person. Sometimes look at the shadows that is cast by a person. Right. There's this fallen angel that I'm not sure, apparently they bring these statues out. And this fallen angel is looking at the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So what's going on now? Who's this fallen angel? Well, he's the master of the tower. Right, so let's get back to our man. Right, he's 90 degrees to the tangent. He has the issue. If he's standing on the shoreline, as soon as he dips his telescope down, it's game over. Why? Because if he turns 90 degrees to his right, his angle is not the same. Therefore, he'd be looking into space. So the issue then is, that is why they always harp on this fact that the man's angle to the tangent is always 90 degrees. Because if he turns, it's game over. If he angles himself down, it's game over. So as a man, he's standing on the shoreline, right? He sees a ship on the horizon. He always has to look straight ahead, but if he looks straight ahead, right, he'll see the clouds. For him to see a person on the shoreline and on the other end, he has to dip his telescope down. And then once again, if he turns 180 degrees, he can't see the man on the other side behind him, because then he'll be living on a donut. And the point is, people do turn 180 degrees and see a person on the shore behind him. Right. That's the issue. So the man's tangent is always 90 degrees in this instance. So we put him in a hot air balloon and we just send him up. Right, now he's above the clouds. Now he has to look down to see the ship on the horizon. And once again, you turn him to his 90 degrees to his right, or you turn him 180, he cannot see the ocean behind him. And what's the point? The point is that people in hot air balloons turn 180 degrees and they see the ocean all around them. Because if the man was above a ball, he couldn't be above a ball, he'd have to be above a donut. The earth would be a donut for him to see the horizon on both sides of him, 180 degrees in front and behind him, and a ship on each horizon. Do you understand? It's a con. It's a trick. That's why they say the man must be on top 90 degrees, but we've already proven that's a con. So the man, he's 90 degrees on the ball, you're right. He can't be in the middle of the ocean, right? He's on the shoreline. If he sends a helicopter in a straight line, well, the helicopter's going towards the clouds, right? So the issue is that each element, the ship, the person on the shoreline and the helicopter, each will have its own angle and will see things at different angles. Do you understand? A helicopter returning back to the man would actually be flying towards the ground. It's a con, a cheap trick. So the further the helicopter goes out, right, the higher it's actually going at the same time. Whereas we know a helicopter flies in a straight line, maintains its same height above the ground. So the 90-degree tangent is just a con. So each person then would have to see things at different angles, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Right? In reality, right, each person, the man sees the other person on the opposite shore head on. The helicopter flies straight and the ship is straight. That would mean there's a bulge of water in front of each person. Right? There has to be. And when you tell them that, they get upset with you. Because now the whole thing is exposed. And the reality is, right, that the helicopter sees the horizon at eye level. He sees everything level. What is level to the helicopter. What is level to the man who's seeing both helicopters. That helicopter turns 360, he sees the horizon all around him because the earth's flat. The man in the hot air balloon sees the horizon flat. He sees everything level. Right, the ship sees the helicopter's level, the ship sees the man level. And the only reason why is that the earth has to be flat for this to work. So let's have a look a bit at the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Right. So, who's this fallen angel? Right. if you're living on a ball, things would have to fall over. There's the fallen angel, the base of the Leaning Tower. So, do you think this is just by accident? Or do you think you're being played? So they'll tell you, right, that the Leaning Tower of Pisa, right, that they started building it, right? Then they stopped because it went wonky, it started dipping because the foundations weren't deep enough. And it was built over a period of 200 years. But now they said, oh, no problem, we're just going to carry on building. This is not an issue. Does that sound reasonable? That you're still going to add on another 4, 5, 6 levels, and the base is leaning. And remember, these are master builders. These are master builders. Would a master builder make such a decision that is bound to fail? So then they build the rest of the tower, right? They build it, and then they stop, and then they build some more, and they build some more. That's what we are told, right? It was built over a period of time. And they just built it straight up now to counter the balance. Or is it rather that this is designed like this from the get-go? Because they putting something in your face. It's a monument to their control over the minds and the hearts of men. That's what it is. And their master, the fallen angel, is at the base of that tower. Right. And that's his machinations, the silly ballers. Right. Do you think this is just coincidence? And the point is that you see things upright. We just don't think about it. Right? It's been implanted in our minds that we're living on a ball. Yet perspective stays the same. And the issue is that we're looking but not looking. We're looking and not thinking because our brains have evaporated. Our brains are gone. Our minds have gone. We don't look and we don't think. How many people go and visit this site, and the whole site is called the Square of Miracles? Just another coincidence, right? You're not looking at the detail. Everything has a meaning. This is not by chance. You need to look at the small print and think, well, what does that mean? Right? So, you've been played. You know, I'm being played, you've been played, we're all in the same boat. It's not that I'm better than anybody else. I'm also a victim just like everybody else. So I hope this gives you something to think about. Cheers and thanks for watching.